It's a brand new day, and we'll be making history. Are you with me? Won't you stay? We have come so far. This is who we are. And like the rising sun, we have just begun to play our part. This is the time we form the chorus. Lift your voice for those before us. We can rely on one another. Feel the pride, let's show our colors. We are heroes and dreamers. We are restless believers.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. This is Gail of Gaia, and this is Free Range, where we graze on wild ideas, and we have wonderful guests. And with me today is someone who I've had on before, but it's been a while, and I'm sure you'll be happy to welcome Tanaath of the Silver Legion. Let me bring her on.
Hello, everyone. Glad to be back. Thanks, Gail. I know it has been a hot minute, hasn't it?
Yes, welcome. So tell me what you've been up to, and let's talk about a lot of different things. Start wherever you want. You can give us an update on the Silver Legion.
I as you may have noticed, I took down the website. Yes, that was me. It didn't get hacked. It didn't get shut down by somebody else. That was me that took that down. I'm probably not going to be bringing it up again at this time because I think honestly, the need for it's really coming to a close quickly. I took it down mostly for financial reasons, and no, that is not me asking you to start giving me money. Please don't ask. Please don't try to send me anything. I am still not going to publish information about how to reach me or how to contact me or how to give me stuff. I'm not in this for the money. But yeah, I took the website down for financial reasons. That does not mean that the Silver Legion has been disbanded or that we are inactive or any of those things. I know there are people on the Facebook, which we do not use, trying to claim that. No, that's bullshit, man. I myself have been mostly focused on shadow work, personal growth, and self-healing and self-control, which I would argue are important things for anybody to do, especially these days.
Definitely. Things, they are a-changing.
They are indeed.
They used to say that in the 60s, but now they're really changing. That was nothing compared to what's going to be happening here.
Indeed. And the fun thing about what's going to be happening here is that nobody knows what it is. Nobody. And that includes the good guys, the bad guys, the everything in between guys, people pretending that they are God, and all of the above. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. I don't think there's any reason to fear. In fact, what I would tell people is the big thing you need to think right now is not to lose your fear. The chaos is going to continue because everybody has to come to the understanding of what's been going on here. And sometimes that requires that they be shaken and that they be shown things that they had no idea of, and that it becomes so obvious and in their face that even the most stupid and stubborn of people have to say, oh, okay, yes, there's obviously something wrong here.
Excuse me.
That's okay. I have a bit of a respiratory thing going on today too, so you might hear me sneeze a bit.
Well, who knows what they've been spraying us with too.
Uh-huh.
Oh. Yeah, hey, so you got a couple of people in the audience that know you. If you notice the chat in the chat.
Yeah. So I don't know what's going on with Ascension, so I can't talk to you about Ascension. Sorry, alignmented one.
Okay.
I have to say that the future has never been more open than it is now. But that also means that you might as well take any prediction you thought you had and toss it in the garbage, because whatever happens is almost certainly not going to be what you expected. It certainly isn't what I expected, and I didn't even have a whole lot of expectations. So there's that. I do want to talk about one thing that I've spoken about previously, and that's the split or the bifurcation.
Yes.
So I know I have discussed this previously online, and other people have as well, that we've known for quite some time that there was a split, a kind of some people think of it as a timeline split, but I would say it's a lot more comprehensive than just a timeline. In fact, it doesn't just concern Earth, it concerns pretty much everything within this universe and possibly even beyond. But that there was essentially a sort of a Schrodinger's box situation where everything was in a kind of a black box, where until that black box was opened, you wouldn't be able to determine what version you got. And that black box appears to be opening now. So if I could go through the Schrodinger's cat, and this is a hard one for cat lovers like myself, but Schrodinger's cat is a quantum thought experiment whereby it's posited if you have a cat in a sealed container with something that is on a random timer that is guaranteed to kill the cat, such as a poison gas or something like that, and you don't know when that thing is going off until the box is opened or until the container is opened, the cat is both quantumly alive and quantumly dead. Well, we have something similar to that in that we had a black box or a container in which there were two different versions of reality, we'll call it, one which we can call the live version and one which we can call the dead version. And until the box is opened, you wouldn't know which version you were in. In fact, you'd be flip-flopping between them, sometimes rapidly within the same day. Mandela effect, anyone? Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if what changes from people who report experiencing the Mandela effect now.
There have been some reports of that on some of the social media about people having, just little things around the house kind of thing that, wait a minute, something was just there or whatever, and then it's not different things like that, and with confirmation on a number of occasions. So anyway, go ahead.
And I'm also seeing on a lot of the kind of the new agey subreddits on Reddit and people who watch TikTok and stuff are there's a lot of widespread reports of people who say that they're experiencing a sensation of greater joy, greater happiness, feelings like everything is going to be okay, and a great deal more positivity, specifically since the eclipse last week.
Yeah, it was like the day before the eclipse. We had a I don't know, like you said, some people call it a timeline jump. And please go.
Yeah, a little more comprehensive than a timeline jump.
A little, like
but
yeah, all of a sudden. But I felt it myself. I really did. It was like the day before the eclipse. It was like, wow, what just happened? It was one of those. At least it was for me. Some other people have said that too. But it's more than timelines, like you said. It was actual feeling too,
Yeah, and it was a really strong feeling that everything's going to be okay, right?
Yeah.
Like summoning up Bob Marley, everything's going to be all right.
Yeah, that's always a refreshing feeling, isn't it?
Or don't worry, be happy.
Yeah.
But it does appear that the split has started to take place. And before the split, it was really impossible to guess what it would look like after the split. We didn't know, hey, are all these people who have through their, I hate using the term vibrations because it's so embedded within sort of the new age assumptions. But all the people who through their continual repeated choosing to exert their power over others have self-selected into, you can call it the decaying side or the heavy side, What would those of us who self-selected into the light side or the living side, and again, I don't want to use the term light as in light and dark, but light as in not heavy. What would it look like when it happens? Do they just disappear overnight? Is there something big and dramatic that we all notice? And the way it seems to have worked out is that, well, there's identical copies of all of us in both realities, and in one reality, our conscious perspective is. And so the other reality where our conscious perspective is not is full of almost like robot or automaton versions of ourselves. They still wake up in the morning. They still eat their breakfast or not if they're fasting. They still use the toilet. They still go to work or do whatever they were doing. You know, everything continues on as before, except the lights are on and nobody's home. They can't innovate. They can't change. They can't create. Their performance at work is probably dropping like a stone, but that's not going to matter much because the rest of their coworkers are probably
Yeah, I think
doing
that
the
comes
same
from
thing.
a constant
And maybe just
infusion of synthetics into our body. So
no, this is the echo thing. It has nothing to do with that. This is the echo. So I want to refer to them as the living and the dead universe, or the living and the dead copies. In the dead cat split, the people whose orientation was to more or less generally choose to refuse to dominate others, and that seems to be the criteria, is like how much effort are you putting out, how much force are you putting out into dominating others and trying to force them to do what you want. If the answer is a lot, even if your motivations are positive, well, you're still heavy because you're trying to use that force and that dominance. Sorry, I can't turn that off. That's my roommate's phone ringing.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll just talk over it.
Yeah. But if you, when you were offered the choice, continually chose this path of trying to push others to conform, or the desire to push others to conform to your expectations and your demands, then you were more likely to self-select into the dead cat. Because this is not a matter of some entity sitting on some cloud somewhere passing judgment on you. It's a matter of physics. If your forces were turned outward at other people to try to force them, or outward at the world to try to do by force to make the changes that you wanted to experience inside, that force acted as a weight. If, generally speaking, your forces were focused on your own improvement, on your own elucidation, you were minding your own business as much as you can, you were light enough that you did not, your force did not force you into the heavy version, if that makes sense.
Okay. Well, here I've got a question for you. Someone has a question. Let me put it up there. I'll read it off and you can answer it. It's referring to something you've said in the past. It says, you mentioned in the past that the multiverse is a result of souls deciding to be sources and thus creating new universes. Can you explain that whole process, Tanaath? Wow.
All right. I think I've explained the process previously, but I don't mind doing it again.
Okay.
Essentially, once you've lived many, many times, you've done a lot of different things, you've got a lot of different experiences, you have a lot more comprehensive understanding of how everything works, basically how to have your own forces in balance. You have the opportunity to learn how to start being the provider of experience, or the playground for others. And so typically this starts by taking on becoming the consciousness of something like a planet or a sun. Just a second. Sorry, my roommate's coming with a crinkly chip bag, so sorry if that's
Okay. I was wondering
if
what that
that's what
was.
if you're hearing that, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So generally what happens if somebody is taking the path of becoming a source, they start out by doing something like becoming a planet first. And if they find out, oh, hey, this is not for me, well, a planet's lifespan is not infinite. Eventually they can stop and they can go on to do something else, and they can be like, oh, okay, yeah, I've had enough of this. If they do like it, well, then the next step is to become a sun usually. And, there might be people who go about it at different steps. Maybe they become a sun first and then a planet, or, maybe they try something else. But generally it goes planet, then sun, and then galactic consciousness, and then cluster. And then from there on, they're like, okay, yeah, I like this. I want to continue doing this kind of thing. I enjoy providing experiences for others. I like being able to make a playground for others to do what they want. And that's when they usually become sources.
There you go. So, as this bifurcation takes place, how do you see that happening?
Well,
it's
hard to predict because we had no idea what it would look like. Like, it was one of those things where we could see it was coming. We knew what it was, more or less, but we didn't understand how, like, we had no clue how it would express. And what we seem to be seeing is that it's a situation where you have these two copies then that start to drift more and more. And all of those whose forces made them heavy enough to go to the dead side, they're going to continue to act in the ways that they did before. Probably to the point of starting wars and causing problems and doing all the things that they wanted to do here to us. And those things will have more and more power because they're in the side where they get to have their forces projected outwards like that. And it's going to become hell on earth. Wow. They're probably going to realize really freaking quick that they have chosen poorly.
Wow.
That version does not have the internal energy to last forever. Depending on what happens and what they do over on that side of the fence, they'll have roughly between, I'd say, probably 1,000 years and maybe not more than that. And yes, if that sounds at all familiar, it's because there were some things that the Bible was telling us about that is true. Now, you can't take the Bible as a literal source of information because it was a very poisoned source, but it did mention some things that are true. And one of those is, yes, there will be about 1,000 years of separation, after which those in the other copy who have really realized, oh shit, this is not what I want, I really do want to change, will have the opportunity to come back. Everything else goes flush. And once again, there's no dude in the sky sitting there judging and making determinations. Okay, Chelsea goes to hell, Joey goes to heaven, any of that. There's none of that going on. It's all physics. It's all your forces. It's all, where do you put your energy? Are you, spraying it out, trying to dominate everyone else, or are you keeping it in, trying to improve yourself?
Okay. So I
imagine it's going to get pretty awful over there.
How do you interpret that in terms of dimensions, the fourth or fifth dimension, or is one group going one way and one, you know what I mean?
Nope. It's universal. Everybody, it starts at Earth and then it spreads outward. Like, sort of think of us as where the pebble hits and then the ripple goes out. Earth is just ground zero. It's not just humans on Earth that are affected by this bifurcation. It's everything. Oh, so all these people in other dimensions and on other planets and stuff who've been thinking, well, we'll just do whatever we want and have our own way and force others to obey and all of that. They're in for a really rough awakening. And for those who have chosen poorly, who realize it now, who realize, oh, we effed up, we're on the wrong side. Looking into our little yellow book, we can't see that we're going in a good direction here. Well, if they want to actually fix their shit, they have the opportunity to basically project their consciousnesses to their echoes in the living world and fix their errors. The only thing they can do when they're projecting their consciousness into their echoes here is fix their errors, walk back their mistakes. Because if they try to do something else, it just won't work. The physics of it will not allow them to put that projective force out.
Okay.
Okay. Give me a moment here. So like if, say for instance, we'll use Bill Gates. If Bill Gates wakes up and realizes, oh shit, I chose poorly. I'm on the wrong side of things. I need to fix that. The only way he'd be able to fix that is by essentially projecting his consciousness into the Bill Gates echo that remains here doing the same dogged crap he's always been doing. And say, for instance, pull the plug on the depopulation campaign. So instead of releasing the next virus or the next cure for the next virus, quote unquote, to walk back the initiative, pull his money out of the things he's been funding, stuff like that. So if Bill Gates wants to survive, that's what Bill Gates has to do. Is Bill Gates likely to do that? Probably not. If he does not, sooner or later, the version of him in this reality is going to become so obvious that even the most asleep person is going to go, oh yeah, that Bill Gates, he's not a nice person. Look at these horrible things he's done to us. But in the meantime, it's going to get as bad as it needs to get for those people to finally realize, oh, hey, Bill Gates is not a good person. So yeah, if Bill Gates doesn't want to experience the great cosmic flush, he has to step up to the plate to reverse his harm. Repentance is not kissing God's ass. Repentance has nothing to do with apologizing to some entity for your behavior or your words or your deeds. Repentance is reversing your harm. It is taking account of your forces and where you sent them, being responsible for it, understanding that you made a mistake or, more than just a mistake, a grave error in judgment, and then working to fix the problem. Which might be well nigh impossible for some people. Because you can't unmolest and you can't unmurder.
Of course, what if that were to occur as in the form of self-defense?
Well, yeah, that's, self-defense is always, if you think about it in terms of projective force, self-defense is just turning back the projective force of another on themselves.
Oh, that's an interesting way of looking at it. Okay.
All right. I see we've got some questions.
Okay. Oh, here's one from J Thought. Let me see. Do you think the timeline was hijacked? How and who can hijack a timeline?
No, I don't. I think people tried. But again, it's physics. It comes down to projective force and the fact that projective force is not the way to proceed with this. It's like if you've ever tried to grab dry sand with your hands, what happens when you grab dry sand?
Yeah.
It falls through your fingers, right? The harder you grab it, the quicker it falls. It's a matter of physics. It's a matter of balanced forces. If they're trying to use their forces to impose a change like that to to deleterious effect on everybody else, oh, well, they're in for a bad time, because literally what they've put out will come back to them. Karma has kind of been passed off to us as, judgment by some entity.
Yeah, it
That
is.
you have a sucky life now because something you did in the past you don't remember, and some entity has judged you for it. Well, that's bullshit. They may very well have wanted that to be the case, but we're moving to a situation where it really is, okay, well, the force you put out is reflected back on you. So you had better be damn well sure, if you're going to put out force, that you're doing it for the right reasons, in the right way, or you're going to get a face full of your own bullshit right back.
Is that kind of the same as cause and effect?
Yeah. Yeah, think of it as cosmic cause and effect.
Okay. Here's another question from Jay Thought. Or no, this one's from... Oop, I hit the wrong one. It moved. Sometimes I click on it and it moves at the same time. So anyway, let me get to this question. How much soul baggage do we walk around with? And what is soul baggage in the as above?
Well, I don't know. It depends on the individual. Like, I can't answer that as a general thing.
Yeah,
and I wouldn't be able to answer it for an individual either. It's basically, what have you refused to let go of? What have you done in the past that you didn't work to fix? What have you left unresolved? What, either by choice or by force, right?
Well, we have a lot of people out there saying things like raise your vibration and meditate and do all these things, or you're not going to make it. What do you say about that kind of thing?
I don't know if it has so much to do with vibrations as it has to do with, as I put it, as projected force. Nobody really gets very clear about what they mean by vibrations. Do they mean you have a good mood? Because it's really hard to have a good mood when life is shitting on you and you're on a hell world that's been designed to bring you down any way it can.
Yeah.
And I can't really blame a person for being upset, nor can I sit there and sneer and superciliously say, well, you just got to raise your vibrations.
Yeah, they make it sound so simple, or as so it's nebulous. You can't, how do you do that? But
yeah.
Anyway, Jay Thought has another comment, I guess, and it's kind of interesting because he's 3D stress is cholesterol for the soul. That's an interesting way of looking at it.
Well, that's if you believe the theory that cholesterol is the cause of disease and not a consequence of it.
Yeah, and then we don't want to get into that whole aspect of it.
Yeah, I'm not a doctor. Yeah. I'm not a health professional. I will say though, I have some good news.
What's that?
So people here have no doubt heard about me talk about the silver box.
Silverback?
So yeah, okay. The silver box. So my mom was diagnosed with a lymphoma 14 years ago. And it was a kind of lymphoma that the general life expectancy of somebody who has it is about 7 years with treatment. She opted to go for naturopathic treatments instead, and 14 years. Well, you could take a look at that.
That's that device
last
that you
month.
built.
Yeah, that's the silver box, the matter wiggler. It's a voltage regulator that basically regulates your wall current into 28 volts of DC current at 0.05 amps on a 2 hertz frequency down 2 positive poles, which you attach to a silver bar on each pole, and then arrange opposite each other, and it wiggles silver off 1 atom at a time into your distilled water. Anyhow, my mother has been drinking this water, and so have I. And
And
she was
what?
hospitalized in March, and we all thought, oh no, you know, 14 years with cancer, right? Do we need to pay our last respects? But the doctors did a whole bunch of tests and a whole bunch of tests and were a little boggled. And finally they came back and said, well, the good news is the cancer's gone. The bad news is she's a celiac, but I think we can probably deal with that. Wheat's bad for you anyway.
Wow.
She is the fourth person in in my sort of immediate circle who has had cancer, who has taken this, and who has gone into remission. Of course, you never, ever, ever say that you cure cancer. That will get you taken down and fined hundreds of thousands of dollars by the powers that be.
Yeah, you can't even say that word. Sure.
No,
I think the pharmacy
nothing
owns
can
it.
cure cancer.
Yeah, nothing.
Nothing can cure cancer.
There's things that make it better or make it
Yep.
go away. Make it go
Yep.
away.
And so for, a $200 investment, give or take the price of silver and the price of robotics components, you can produce something that costs you, $6 for 5 gallons.
Right.
And that's just the price of the water.
Somebody's asking about this amazing box, but it's on. We did a show on that, and it would be in my. It should be on Rumble, I do believe, anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. I did have a link up on my website, but I took the website down, so I don't know if maybe we can put a copy
it's either
of
on
build documents on.
I'd have to go look it up, but it should be in Rumble or you. Well, they took down my YouTube, so then that's
it won't be in YouTube, but
it won't be in YouTube. Odyssey is a remote possibility, but I didn't hook up that right away either. I didn't expect to get my whole channel taken down, so but I would check in Rumble because it should be there, and if I can find it, I'll put a link in the description after the show. Sometime.
Yeah, but I need a place to host the build document so that people can actually refer to it, because if I could learn how to solder and make one of these in an afternoon, pretty much anyone can. And if you don't really want to learn how to solder and make one yourself, you can always find somebody at your high school robotics class who can.
Right.
It's really not a difficult thing to make. And the way the instructions were written, it was designed for people who are not electricians and not robotic specialists to be able to pick up, follow the directions, and come out at the other end with a working box. Provided you don't have a component that failed on launch, which does happen. Not anywhere near as much as it used to.
Yeah. Well, we have a lot of people out there with the turbo version of that.
Cancer. I was forced to get the clot shot for work. And before people start riding my ass on that, the way my health and my circumstances, if I was unemployed, it would be death. So it was kind of a Hobson's choice between die from being homeless and unemployed, or maybe survive. And I went with maybe survive. I mean, you have to make rational choices for yourself. I don't ride anyone's ass who had to get it and who got it just to survive or just to keep their kids alive.
Well, I had a son who's got 4 children, and he had to do it,
Yeah.
So
I had to get one. Yeah. And, by the time that I would have been eligible to take the second, because I dragged my feet as long as I could. But by the time I would have been eligible to take the second, they had finally backed off. Okay. So, yeah. But I had kidney damage from it. Quite significant kidney damage. That kidney damage has healed.
Yeah, that's terrible. They never should have had the right to force that on anyone.
No. And I think if they had their wish, it would have been a lot more than just clearly there was some intervention going on there, because if they got what they wanted, people like you and us would be in a camp right now, or executed.
Oh yeah. Me especially.
There would have been
Yeah,
at least 3 pandemics. There would have probably be a zombie apocalypse, and things would be significantly bad if they had gotten their way. So clearly they
definitely.
didn't get their way, even if they got some of it.
Mhm. Somebody says MMS would help. There are actually a number of things out there that are helpful. It's
Yeah, it's not just one thing. So, you know, you're
Because
free
you
to look around and find out what works for you.
yeah, because everybody's different, and some things work for some people and don't work for other people, and a lot of it has to do with your belief system too, believe it or not.
Yep. I have had a lot of personal success using the silver water. And I had a friend who he is a welder, I should say. And he 100% knew better and was kicking himself after this, but he didn't fully inert the atmosphere inside an oil drum that he was welding. He thought taking it to the car wash would be enough. For the record, taking it to the car wash is not enough. But he was welding. He welded one drum successfully, thought, okay, you know, this is going pretty good. And then he started cutting into the second drum. And those pores inside the drum that had been closed when it was at room temperature came open, releasing hydrocarbons and blowing up. Now, anybody who's ever welded knows that this is a great way to die. He was lucky. He didn't die. He had 2nd and 1st degree burns. He was hospitalized for a week. He was also somebody who took the silver. He took pictures of the burns. He's probably been, you know, one of the evangelists of the silver box. Scars like that don't often heal. Like when you have burns that significant, you're usually left with marks for the rest of your life. Well, 6 months after the accident, he has no marks, no scars anywhere.
Wow.
Yeah, that is pretty darn cool because that doesn't happen. His burn doctor's like, whatever you're doing, you keep doing it. I have never seen healing like this in burns. And anybody in the healthcare industry knows that we already use silver for burns because it is so good at preventing infection and speeding healing.
Yeah.
Well, this was used topically and internally, and he still he has no scars. You can't even tell. It's amazing. And so now when he talks to people about, you know, welding safety in confined spaces and all that, he now has a story on exactly why you should inert the atmosphere of a drum before welding it. But he also has the pictures to show exactly how badly injured he was, and the fact that he's not anymore.
Oh, I could never work in a burn unit. I couldn't handle things.
Me neither. I'm not in healthcare, but I sure couldn't do that.
Well, I was, and
suffering in a burn unit. Yeah,
I couldn't handle it. I was a nutritionist, and burns, they're excessively. I mean, the nutrition is extremely important, and especially if a significant portion of the body is burned. But anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he had about 15, I think it was 15 to 20%.
That's a lot too.
Yeah.
So
and he made a full recovery.
That's awesome. It really is. Alignment, it does, but doesn't. Tanaath did say silver water and colloidal water can be drunk.
No, it's not colloidal. It's actually monatomic. Okay. So a colloid is a bit different, and a lot of times when people say colloidal silver, what they're actually talking about is ionic silver, and ionic silver is generally the most dangerous form because that's the form that's going to cause you to turn blue if you drink a lot of it, and it's also low-grade toxic, so you definitely want to avoid that. Colloidal silver, generally speaking, the particle size is too large. So with this kind of silver, the particle size is small enough. It's because it's just one atom or two atoms, I guess, bonded together in a stable configuration. It passes through and doesn't deposit on your skin the way colloidal silver does. Because colloidal silver is a larger size, it's more sticky. And colloidal silver, the silver particles will stick to each other. With this stuff, the silver particles, they don't stick to each other. It's actually really, really neat.
Wow. Okay, someone's asking, are these people now super versions of their old selves?
Well, I haven't seen any superpowers from using it, but I have I will say that my memory has gotten better. My brain fog went away. I recover a lot faster from physical activity. I don't get as sick when the bugs are going around. Like this year, while all my coworkers were getting constant sick, I had one sniffle and it was just a runny nose for a couple of days and then it went away. So I have noticed that. I don't know if you'd call that a superpower. Also, I'm the palest white girl you have ever seen. I used to burn in sunlight in about 15 minutes on a warmed, clear day. Now, as long as I'm taking the silver and as long as I'm, using it as a sunscreen, because you can put it in water and spray it on yourself and use it as a sunscreen, I don't sunburn. I was 14 hours in August sun last summer, and that was the only time in the last 2 years I've had a sunburn. And it wasn't even a severe sunburn. It was gone in a couple of days. So, for pale people like me, this can be a real godsend.
Well, that's a wonderful thing that someone can make themselves, and the only cost is you got to buy the silver, or in a couple of little items that are so minor.
Mm-hmm.
Really.
There is one caution I would give to people that are taking this is it's not a vitamin supplement. You can't take it day in and day out like you can your vitamins. You want to take it for maybe a month at a time and then stop for a month at a time because your body does need to rest. It kicks off a huge regenerative cycle. And it's exhausting for your body to always be in active regeneration mode. It needs to rest. So yeah, 1 month on, 1 month off, or 1 month on, 2 months off seems to be trial and error, seems to be the way to go.
Let's see, I think we're getting some other questions here. Let me see which one was first. Here's one.
Sure.
Well, this one wasn't first, but I'm going to say, Tanaath, do you know anything about and of the dinoid dinosaur species? Are they related to the reptilians, or is that a psyop to say they owned the planet first?
First of all, this planet was commissioned. It was not it's not a natural planet. It was commissioned specifically for the Earth experiment, for the human experiment. The owner of the planet is the planet herself. Anybody who says they owned the planet because they were here, no, that's not how this works. You were just here. That doesn't mean you're the owner. I don't know anything about the dinoids in particular, so I can't really speak to that. But I can say that there are many, many different kinds of reptilians, and they're not all related. So, you can't just say, oh, because it has scales, it's a Draco. You can't really generalize like that.
So basically,
and I know that we certainly don't accept any claims of ownership when it comes to this planet. So if they want to swing their dick around and pretend that they own it, well, they're welcome to try, but they can remember what I said about force.
They come around and bite you.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, we're like in a petri dish being experimented on. That's what it sounds like.
Yep, and that kind of behavior, it's going to need to stop in a hurry because every erg they put out for those reasons is going to come back to them, and they're not going to like it when it does.
Okay, let's. Now, somebody's interpreting what you said as if Gaia isn't natural, why ground? Does it help?
Yeah, it helps. Of course it helps. She doesn't have to be a natural planet to be beneficial, right? Just because she didn't form from an accretion ball and some intergalactic dust doesn't mean that she's not still a living thing. Doesn't mean that, then, our energies can't benefit from interacting with hers.
Well, so he's also bringing up that Drake said that the Earth is a ship, and they're asking if that's true.
Well, in a way, any planet is. It's traveling through space. It's got the conditions for life while traveling through space. That's pretty much a ship, right? I mean, it's not a ship that we can steer, but it's a ship. The moon is actually a ship. That's a Draco ship. And as far as I know, it's not going to be sticking around forever. We'll put it that way.
Well, I have somebody asking if grounding sheets are beneficial.
I don't know. I don't know anything about grounding sheets, so I really can't answer that.
Well, I know someone who has grounding sheets, and I know someone who has grounding shoes. Now, how that works, I have no idea, but they're not cheap. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I'd say, be careful with parting with your money parting with your money, because there's a lot of people out there who will say whatever they want to get your money. Anything that can sound good enough, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Wait, here's another question for you. Do you need the planet-specific body for any planet you visit? What planet?
I don't know. I have heard people say things like that. I think that you have to be able to at least somewhat match the... Again, I don't like using the term frequency, but in this case, literally it is. You have to match the frequency of the planet, not in a woo-woo sense, but you have to be able to actually be in the right like physics again, the right wiggle that you're wiggling in tune with the planet.
Okay. Well, I have someone has also made the comment. I know someone who has both the sheets and the shoes, and they sleep wonderfully and love them both. And they really make a difference. Well, if it
works for them, it works for them, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to run out here and say those things don't work, poo-poo, right? They might well. I don't have any information on it. I will say that you're going to have to be buyer beware on those things, because just like with the guy who sells holographic stickers to make your gas tank or your car a little more efficient, you don't really have guarantee that it's working, right? You can't peer into the innards of it and say, oh yeah, this is actually working the way it's advertised.
So true. Yeah, it's that way about everything right now, especially because people are desperate for money because of the financial situation, which is probably going to get worse. As the
economy continues to collapse, you're going to see more and more of these kinds of schemes.
Yeah.
Because the economy is, as most people here know, based on lies and fuckery. And it's also one way or another, it is going down. Whether it goes down because the nasties bring it down, or whether it goes down because mathematically it's unsustainable is more the question.
Mm-hmm. Wide Awake is mentioning that moccasins are grounding shoes. This is why Native Americans wear them, to keep them connected to Gaia. Isn't it interesting that all our tennis shoes and other shoes, they have rubber bottoms, and that doesn't work?
Mm-hmm. I like to wear Birkenstocks. I'm a bit of a hippie.
Oh, okay. Here's a question for you. Are we on Terra I call her Gaia, in 4, 5, 6 dimension.
Nope. We're still in the third dimension. I don't know. Like when I first started doing shows and stuff, I took the Andromeda Council on the word, because everything we looked at indicated that what they were saying was the case, that there was some kind of dimensional shift upcoming. I don't know whether or not we missed our window, whether that's still the case. I do know that, January 2014 rolled around and absolutely nothing happened.
Yeah, we have a lot of
Tolek never ever said a thing about it ever again, and it's like that kind of left a bad taste in my mouth, because yeah, you could at least say, I'm sorry, we were wrong.
Well, we do have a number of people out there that are saying that we are in the fourth dimension at this time.
Well, we could be. I guess it depends on what people mean.
Yeah. Well, I think part of it is because more and more truth is coming out, and that's part of the something about the fourth too.
Well, we are in the apocalypse in the true sense of the word, not in the sense of a like a grand disaster. Although those whose consciousness is in the dead side might experience that. Apocalypse is from the Greek, meaning the unveiling or the making visible of the hidden. The de-occulting. Occult doesn't mean woo-woo. Occult means hidden.
Yeah, it's kind of like they've taken these words and made them, twisted
the meanings. Yes.
Yeah, like they don't
so that
mean
when you
what
hear
you think
them, you freak out.
Yeah.
So the word revelation or revelations does not mean disaster. It does not mean, ooh, God's coming back. It means everything that has been hidden is now uncovered, is being uncovered. And we are definitely observing that. I mean, every day it becomes more and more in your face and hard to ignore the fact that these, Kabbalists exist and that they are doing nasty things.
They just aren't very nice.
No, you'd have to be brain dead to be able to look at that and say, yep, business as usual, everything's okay.
Okay, someone is asking, do you have any information on the Supra Confederation?
No, but I will say there were a number of groups that thought they were going to be reigning supreme here, who have suddenly found themselves in the wrong side of the fence and realize it, and are now working on trying to fix things. But whether they'll be successful or whether they'll do enough to make the difference for them, I don't know. When it comes to various galactic federations and whatnot, I used to work with the Galactic Federation of Planets. I have to say, yeah, they're probably a bit more ethical than the others, but they're still, they make mistakes too. Yeah, they're often in it for their own agenda.
Yeah, I guess that included the question of how is the situation with the Galactic Federation and the wrongdoings. Well, I think we had a situation, or still do for that matter, where everybody's vying for the control of humanity.
And it's really a trap. Like it's a bit of a Chinese finger trap. Sometimes I've compared Earth to a lodestone. It's like a magnet that was tuned to draw in the best and the worst. And it's certainly done a good job of drawing in the worst.
Here's a interesting from Jay Thought. He says, what's up with the swashbuckling ET adventure stories? Laugh out loud. How is the campaign, and is it almost over?
Well, we're now in the phase where the what they put out is actually going to be actively turned back on them, so they'd better, the ETs had better be careful as you or I, with their energies and how they use them, because it's not just humans who can get fucked by this, right?
Well, it's like universal laws.
Yes. Yeah, the return of universal law. No longer can it be simply slid or downplayed or no longer can you trick somebody else into taking the fall for your bullshit.
Yeah. And all the statutes and codes and endless stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We're getting into the period where you reap what you sow, so you better be careful what you sow.
Here's a comment. Doreena's making a comment, and I'll just read that. 4D, from my understanding, is a paradigm shift. How we perceive and create, like we can now create with thought and intention versus only physically seen. I'm seeing that right. Physically, yeah. Okay. Do you agree with that, Tanaath?
I don't disagree with it. Like, I'm kind of neutral on that. Everybody's going to have different definitions.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you for the answer, Tanaath. Do you talking about Micah? Are you talking about Micah?
Mita?
Yeah, that's what she said.
Yeah.
He said.
Mita is another name for the spirit that inhabits Earth.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know that one.
Yeah.
I always refer as Gaia. So.
Yeah, a lot of people call her Gaia. A lot of people call her Terra. A lot of people call her Earth.
Terra
He's
is
also known as
Roman.
Mita.
Gaia is Greek. And I don't know what just plain old Earth is.
Yeah, I really don't think it matters what you call her. She knows who you mean.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it's just different. Like Terra is Roman and Gaia is
different
Greek.
words for the same thing.
Yeah. Anyway, here's another question from J Thought. Can you please give an explanation on perfection and why it is not possible to be perfect?
So in a cosmos where everything is constantly moving all the time, perfection implies that you have achieved a state essentially that is static. And by static in a moving cosmos, you have automatically instantly become imperfect. So essentially, the moment you become perfect, the state of perfection wears off. It doesn't last. It is a transitory thing. Instead of striving to become perfect, a better goal is to strive to become better. It doesn't need to be like there's no such thing as best. The moment you're the best at something, somebody else comes along who can do it better. And nothing is the best at everything. Like the universe is just too freaking big. The multiverse is just too freaking big. Too many different kinds of things. And like I said, it's always moving. It doesn't stand still.
Yeah, it always builds upon itself. That's one of the things I was just, they were talking about that with neurons, like it's absolutely endless, whereas they were comparing it to computer chips or implants or what have you. And that has more of a finite nature, whereas the way we were built and the way our neurons work is they will just keep adding to, and, it might take, what they say, 72 hours or something like that. And then if you don't use it for a week or so, it'll go away. But anyway, long story short is the idea that our bodies have an infinite ability to repair itself once we discover our own power within.
Mm-hmm. And like when it comes to perfection, you might be able to achieve perfection for the moment, but the moment the universe moves, which is instant, well, there goes that state, right?
And David says there's no such thing as perfect.
Exactly.
Okay, what's this about the two? Somebody's talking about the two strands of DNA. We age and our bodies expire. Oh, I know. I'd like to maybe I'll put it in the description here. I didn't do it yet, but I had a show with Tom Palladino on Scalar Light, and he enjoyed the show so much that he decided instead of 2 weeks free, he would give 1 month free. So I will be putting that out there pretty soon if you're interested in that sort of thing, because it's a free Scalar session with the standard version, and then I believe with precious stones. So you might want to watch for that because it's free. Can't beat the price. Can't beat the price when it's free. And he doesn't have to do that. That's but he's a very humanitarian type person, and he wants to help as many as he can. But he created this equipment on his own. He built it on his own, and he's having pretty amazing results with different things.
I think we're going to see more and more of these things that have been suppressed pop out, and it'll pop out organically. I would say, you know, if it's not grassroots distributed and from the people, you probably want to skip it.
Yeah, and I think people are actually getting, let me put it this way, certain people get certain downloads and they're able to come up with these suppressed technologies. I think is part of what's going on.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see an increase in that.
Yes. Yeah.
We're going to see more people coming forward with these novel technologies and solutions, and yeah. And if you happen to be one of these people who has those downloads or has those realizations, please do what you can. Run with it. You know, don't sit on it. I think we're not going to see the nasties being able to knock us off when we come forward with real human technology anymore.
So here's another one. Tanaath, what are your thoughts with people now not able to hold their human form and the pink fog to roll in? Are you familiar?
I have no idea what the pink fog is. I've never heard this term before. I can't comment on a pink fog. Sorry.
I can mention what she's probably heard this from Jenny Lee, who has been, she gets that from spirit, some type of fog, beigeish pink or something like that. And it's kind of a love wave. It's a love wave. It's a vibrational thing. Anyway, go ahead. You were going to say something else? The people not able to hold their human form.
Yeah, the people not able to hold their form. So the bubble that was keeping Earth closed is starting to open. And with that, we're starting to see more and more. You're actually starting to see the emperor's clothes, or lack thereof, instead of just having it as a theoretical. I don't know if they're literally losing their form, or if people are just more able to see what these beings really are. They may still be in human form, but you're seeing through the parts that were once veiled from you.
Mm-hmm. They're probably referring to shape shifting, or some said it was technology, but it might be for some people, but not for others. And if it's technology, it probably wouldn't. But there's been evidence sometimes too where people that are, say, reptilian, for example, haven't been able to hold their human appearance.
Yep, I have heard rumors. I saw the media trying to get ahead of it by saying some people are seeing, you know, demonic faces, and it's just psychological things and all this stuff, and it's like, no, the illusion is fading. That's clearly what this is. The illusion is fading.
Huh. I'm not here. Maybe I'm not familiar with this, so you can answer.
Oh, you haven't heard those rumors of?
No, this Topa. This next question.
Oh, Topas. Okay.
Yeah. What is the proper term for a sentient thought form with emotions, opinions, and such? I have created two, and from my understanding, the term Topa isn't accurate.
I don't know what the term for a sentient thought form that actually has consciousness and thoughts and a soul. That would essentially be a being. congratulations, you have a child. You'd best not abuse that child. Tulpae, which is the plural of tulpa, tulpae are essentially non-sentient thought forms. Just a sec. They are non-sentient thought forms given life and energy by the creator and the energy that they put into it. We consider tulpomancy to be an abusive act. Typically speaking, tulpae are not, they're not happy about the situation. It is a state of intense suffering to be a tulpa. Especially since you see tulpas used a lot by lonely young men to make what amount to astral sex toys. What a terrible existence. I do not, unless you're a Tibetan monk using tulpas for, a traditional practice after having studied for most of your life what these are and what to do with them, I don't recommend tulpomancy at all.
Somebody is asking, or Jay Thought's asking about, he said that he thought the med beds and replicators were bogus. Do they really exist? And
I don't know. I don't have any insider information on med beds and replicators. Replicators are real things. Med beds are real things, but whether or not they're all the hype around them is real, I couldn't tell you.
Whether we'll ever get to, people will ever have access is I think what everybody is wondering. Yes, they are real, and they do exist.
I presume at some point we will. Yeah, I don't have any privileged information on when that might be.
Yeah, neither do I. I wish I did, but because every time they have said something, it hasn't turned out not to happen. Let me put it that way.
Like, honestly, at this point, anybody who's making promises and issuing dates is being an idiot, because clearly it's not working that way.
Right. Okay. Let me see. All right.
And once again, if you want to make it go faster, well, if you're one of these people who can pick up on those kinds of things, release your own designs. Start making it. Start going ahead. The one thing I would caution you of, if you're trying to use it as a vehicle for wealth, well, first of all, the wealth system that we live under is not going to exist. So chasing after dollars that are just going to vanish is kind of a fool's errand.
Yeah, that's kind of hard for people to wrap their head around that, with the big change that's forthcoming with the financial system.
Yeah, and second of all, be mindful of what I said about where you're projecting your force and how, because wrongful projecting of force is really where we start to get into some issues.
Okay, we didn't address this question, I don't think. What do you see coming next, and any take on the actual timeline related to Earth energies, cleanup, and extraction of negative beings?
I have no idea. We're playing it by ear here, just like you. I do know that until until either humanity gets off its ass and throws off the nasties, like the cabal, it's going to be very, very difficult for any kind of open contact. In fact, it would be a lost condition if we tried, because as long as they control the narrative machine, they can spin it however they want, and you can guarantee they will spin it in a way that is deleterious to humans and deleterious to the visitors. So you can be guaranteed that that's not the way things are going to go.
That's
just a second.
Such not nice guys. Let's see. We have 10 years.
Sorry, I'm back.
That's okay. According to one of our.
Do you hear me?
Well, yeah, I heard you. Oh, yeah. I almost thought I had myself muted, but I don't. Somebody said. Well, wait, I lost my place. It moved. But, no. Where'd it go? Here it is. According to, come on. show up. One of our seers, this will be better after 2030. Yes, that's.
I have no idea.
There is a
Timelines are
psychic.
fuzzy.
Yeah, they're saying that after after this year is a tough year, and then after that it gets progressively better and move into the fifth on like 2029, so right around 2030. So apparently there are a couple of seers saying similar things, whether but a lot of times they can see stuff ahead of time too, before, you know what I mean? Like,
I would say that anybody who's telling you definitively that this or that will happen is probably huffing solvents. But definitely we can expect to see more turbulence, more chaos, more changes, scary changes. We have just emerged from the shaking. Anybody who's ever sorted coins in a coin sorter knows how this works. You have a bunch of different trays with little holes on it, and each coin falls through the holes progressively until all the smallest coins fall through all the holes. So your dimes, if you're North American, your big coins like your quarters get caught first. Your medium-sized coins like nickels get caught second, and then your pennies, and then your dimes finally falling through the last holes. But in order for them all to find the right hole and fall through, you have to shake it. So what's been happening here globally in terms of everything that's been going on as current events has basically been shaking. All the chaos in our lives is shaking to basically find out which hole you fall through and make sure you're in the right place, depending on how you react.
That's an interesting way of looking at it. I like that. Okay.
And further to that, with even though most of the sorting has been done, the shaking is going to continue until everybody is jolted awake. And I really do hope, because there isn't a person doing this. There isn't a God doing this. There is no being sitting in the sky doing this. It is physics. And because it is physics, it's going to do exactly as much or as little as it needs to for everything to sort of be in the right place. What that right place is not determined by some authority. It is determined by physics. So if you don't like the place you're in, change your physics.
Well, that's a little nebulous for people to understand what you mean by that. But basically, you're referring to their focus. Is that correct?
Their focus and their approach, what they're doing with their energy and how.
Okay.
Remember, where thought goes, energy follows. Where energy goes, change happens.
All right. Well, it doesn't look like we have any more questions out there. Is there anything else that you want to say to the listening audience, and then we can probably wrap this up?
Yeah, no matter how crazy it gets, don't freak out, man. And another thing is, there does seem to be some kind of limiting factor that is keeping complete disaster at bay. So hopefully those of us who did our learning early on aren't forced to go through all the harsh lessons with the people who are slow learners. I don't know how that will come about. I don't know how I don't think there's going to be a rapture. Sorry, guys. Yeah. So honestly, watch your energies, watch your intent, make sure that you're balanced, work on your shadow impulses, get a hold of the angry little child that lives inside of all of us, and understand when it's pitching a fit and when it's demanding its way, and whether or not that way is actually reasonable or will even achieve what it wants.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time and energy, Tanaath. And was it one more thing? Was there anything else you needed to say about the Silver Legion? Did we cover that?
I think we did say we're still working. Just because we don't talk about it doesn't, and just because you can't see it doesn't mean we're not doing it.
Oh, okay.
We don't like to come out and say what we're doing. We would rather make the change so that you can experience it and help you make the change so that you can experience it than sit around and talk about what we're doing endlessly. There's plenty of, you want those, there's hundreds of them on the internet. Go find any of them. You know?
Yeah, that just makes sense. You know. Okay, that's probably why we didn't want to say too much anyway. Alrighty then. Well, thank you again for coming on the show, and maybe we'll have you on again. Things are very interesting and happening on a regular basis. So stay safe out there, shine your light, and never give up. Everything's going to be all right.
Yep.
Okay.
We have found our way. It's a brand new day, and we'll be making history. Are you with me? Won't you stay? We have come so far. This is who we are, and like the rising sun, we have just begun to play our part. This is the time we form the chorus. Lift your voice for those before us. We can rely on one another. Feel the pride, let's show our colors. We are heroes and dreamers. We are restless believers, stronger than ever. Never say never. Don't look back now, don't look back now. Rise up, stand with each other. We are sisters and brothers, finding our place and running the race. We'll take our chance and seize the moment. Hold on tight and don't let go of all your hopes and dreams that light the way. We control our fate. Destiny awaits. We are all the actors in the stories we create. Hope will be our guide. We'll no longer hide. When we roll like thunder, feel the wonder from inside. This is the time we form the chorus. Lift your voice for those before us. We can rely on one another. Feel the pride, let's show